Thank you for joining us here at One Kingdom Worldwide as we share the greatest love story ever told in support of the God-led life. Welcome to Section 1, Essential Scriptural Context that has been lost down through the ages. As we said in the previous episode, you'll fail less and less, and you'll succeed more and more. And more you'll succeed. So you'll fail less and less. But how do we do that? Well, we talked about our heart last time, didn't we? And we have to have a heart after the Father. Love or not love. It's not about right or not right, or any attempt to control others. Kindly, gently informing, without manipulative strategies. Submit to God. Resist the devil, and he must flee. You got three voices in your head, right? Yours, the enemy's, God's. And in any given interaction, you have a choice to make. Now, the issue at hand is whether or not you have a heart after the Father, whether your attitudes are about His will and behaving in His way, or whether it's about getting what you want. Because when you take a position that says, I'm going to fight you on this, I run. Maybe I try to dialogue, but you won't. But if you're holding to your position, then it's fight. So eventually I do flight. Now, in the other side of the story, you might be trying to dialogue, but the other person feels that their position is threatened and they're afraid to dialogue. And so you really weren't fighting. You were informing. You were trying to dialogue. But they took it as fight. And there's a whole lot of people in this world that were raised by parents associated with people who were always trying to get them to do something, and for them, everything feels like an attack. It's more common in the introverted personality, but it happens to all of us. And so perhaps you're trying to dialogue, and what they're doing is running and hiding. And they don't want a dialogue. And therefore, there's another brick in the wall. So what's your heart? Is your desire for love or not love? You see, there's one or the other. There's really no middle. The middle is you trying to finagle what you're trying to get by being a fake. Oh, like you love me. Oh, you're mad at me. Well, which one is it? So when you opt for the middle, it's not love. And it's not about right or not right, but when we take the position of I'm right, you're wrong, and they think, well, they're right, I'm wrong, then all we have is more fight that ends up in flight. And sometimes it's me pushing them away, and sometimes it's them pushing me away, but it ends up that fight always becomes flight. So, does dialogue always work? No. It depends on the heart of the other person. Are they open to what's being shared? And so how well you're able to have these attitudes and speak that you care is critical to whether or not they just might maybe listen, and you might be able to have a conversation about it, because it's always about conversation. If they feel that they can say what's on their mind without being attacked, you got a better chance. But there's a percentage of people in this world who always feel attacked, and you're not going to succeed with them. And so going in, recognize that you need to discern where to stop, because in the end you don't want to say, well, I've been trying to dialogue with you, I've been trying to have a conversation with you, but you won't do it. Well, now you're in the attack mode. That's not love. Love is what God does. Love allows us to choose. Are we going to? Are we going to? Are we going to run and hide? Are we going to fight or flight? Is it going to be dialogue? Now that's one thing with people at work, friends on the playground, so to speak, people you see in life. It's one thing with them, it's another when it's family. Oh, and when it's family, it's most difficult of all because there's a history. And as we were kids, or as I was your child, I learned your mode, I learned your ways. And when your ways were not safe, I ran. Right versus wrong, we just stopped talking. And when you do that with your spouse, you're going to be living alone together. And alone together ends up with horrible relationships. So this process that we're in of discerning what is the attitude of the other person is critical. And then we have to remember that even though we're trying to inform them of information that would be helpful, that would help us to do iron sharpening iron conversation where your wisdom and my wisdom meet and the collective wisdom that we get from God is shared and then something bigger comes from it. It's scuttled. It doesn't happen. And when it doesn't happen, now, what will my words and actions be? Because if I'm angry, I'm going over here. And trust. There is no trust. Now, you might be able to have trust in certain situations, certain kinds of topics, but there might be, and there always is, by the way, in most any relationship, certain subjects that are taboo. I don't want to talk about that. So, when you identify those, it becomes more of a waiting game because God will give you opportunities if you remain in His attitudes that the situations that occur with that person in that relationship will give you more and more opportunity to build trust. And as you build trust and they recognize that they can faithfully rely upon you to be trustworthy and the intimacy grows, now maybe that subject can be brought up, but gently. Maybe it's just a piece at a time. Maybe of the entire large subject that we're talking about, maybe just a small part of the beginning layer can be described and see whether or not you can get some buy-in to that. Remember, they have a right to their opinion too. We're not always right, and it's not about right. It's not about wrong. It's about love and not love. See you next episode.